Somebody sent Aaron Rodgers a bust statue of Nick Cage's Cameron Poe, and it's in his locker. Like every game, he's going to stare at Cameron Poe before he plays.
I want one of those. I bet maybe McFarland or Nico, I think is how it's said. Maybe I'm going to have to look it up now.
Here's all I know. Nobody seems to work as hard to both be liked and disliked at the same time quite as much as A-Rod of the football persuasion. How is it that guy can go from being one of America's favorite football players to one of America's least favorite football players back to one of America's weirdest and most loved football players in the span of like 12 months?
Well, I never left. So, I mean, some people were bothered by things I was not. So I think you're being a little too general about it. The media decided they didn't like
I wouldn't
Aaron
just
Rodgers.
say the media.
Yeah,
we have a
was,
text line.
It was the media
that people talk to us on.
Yeah, people love Aaron Rodgers. He's awesome. What's wrong with being weird, man? I like being weird.
No, again, we're both weird. That's why this chemistry of this show works. And by the way...
You want him to be some vanilla guy who never does anything controversial?
By the way, I'm very excited to announce, found out yesterday...
that you also are into the psychedelics like Aaron Rodgers?
Aaron Rodgers, listen, I was going to say a very nice thing about Lonzo,
Yeah,
but instead, let's go back to that.
I know.
So,
which is legal in the NFL, apparently.
It is.
So a lot of guys are like, thank you, Aaron.
Yeah.
Now I know what to do.
And it feels like, enjoy those shrooms, buddy.
It's all natural.
And didn't he say at one point, or is it in my head, that part of the hallucinogenics that A-Rod of the football persuasion was on were taken via enema? Wasn't he getting some kind of weird enema?
All right, I didn't hear that part.
Yeah,
I did not hear that part. That's.
Now I gotta go look it up.
Do you? Be careful.
Hey man, this is show prep. This is important stuff.
Yeah, that's what they all say.
This is important stuff. Aaron, let's see. I want to say that there was like there was something involved that he was taking the treatment he was on in taking panchakarma, a cleansing and purification technique in Ayurvedic medicine, is a long-standing pseudoscientific Indian medicine system not based on science and with little to no scientific evidence backing it. Apparently, it is believed to help relieve osteoarthritis, pain, and manage type 2 diabetes, but there's no evidence that it works at all. So, you know what this is? It's the bro version of, I use essential oils for everything, dude. Bro. It is the bro version. It's like, no. Essential oils are girly. I take Ayurvedic medications. What's that mean? It means I take fish oil and I put my legs up on the air and you can figure out the rest from there, man. It's so weird, dude. It's so weird. Apparently, part of it involves taking an enema made from different types of oil. So I guess it's not that he's taking the hallucinogenics rectally. He's just putting a bunch of other stuff up there.
So it's a cocktail of sorts.
Yeah.
A mixture of things.
Yeah. But, and you see what I did there, but there's absolutely no science that says it works at all. It's just, A-Rob was like, no, this is good. I read a post on Reddit yesterday from a lady that was like, my son has a ruptured eardrum. I've tried treating it with essential oils. What should I do? Lady was like, you did not pour essential oils into your kid's ruptured eardrum. The lady's like, yeah, it works on everything else. No, it doesn't, Karen. No, it doesn't. The next step is a doctor.
Don't be dissing home.
Aaron.
Don't be dissing home remedies. I also believe that Aaron Rodgers is aware that people are hanging on everything he says.
He's just trolling.
He could have just made all this up. He could, wouldn't you? And it seems in his nature to just make some things up and see if people run with it. It's a workaround.
There's a good chance A-Rod is just having a ball. And that's only because I know other people that in this exact situation would do the same thing. They'd be like, how ridiculous can I get with these stupid claims before people finally bail out on them? What are you laughing at, man?
I will send it to you on Twitter. I guarantee you will laugh at it. Hold on. It might be something we may want to share at some point.
Well, now that's all I care about.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I told you.
I don't want to share.
Did you watch it all? Did you see who's holding the ropes? You got to watch it to the end.
Lonzo is sending me.
Oh, that is great. That is great.
Lonzo is sending me memes that I absolutely will not share with you.
Why not?
But it is hilarious. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome in. The Rob Brown Show is on your radio. This is the Fan Upstate, 97.7 FM Greenville, 97.1 FM Spartanburg, all around the world on the Odyssey app, AUDACY. By the way, the new and improved Odyssey app. Now you can go in there, you can like and subscribe to your favorite stations like the Fan Upstate. It will alert you when new content is posted so you can make sure that you're staying up to date with what Zoe and I have to say, what Diesel and Mark Ryan have to say, as well as the most up-to-date breaking news and information that you need to know as a sports fan. Get the Odyssey app, AUDACY, like and subscribe to the Fan Upstate and to the Rob Brown Show itself, because we post every hour of the show in an edited podcast form, and 90% of days, 3 or 4 highlight clips of the show are not just posted, but they are edited, shortened, cleaned up, so they become little 6, 7, 8-minute digestible clips for your perusal. So make sure you get the Odyssey app, download it, add the Fan Upstate, and like and subscribe to the Rob Brown Show on the Odyssey app so that you don't miss a moment. I'm going to jump right into this because I love this story. I got 2 clips, and I got 3 clips, but we're going to use 2 here in the audio folder, 2 and 2A, Lonzo. And I'm going to start with clip 2. This is a guy we talked about Monday on the show. This is Kentucky football coach Mark Stoops. Now, Stoops is a guy whose back I had back on Monday, ba-da-ba-da-da-da, because he got into it with John Cal. Calipari was trying to campaign to get more resources dumped into the basketball team. He described Kentucky as a basketball school. Mark Stoops then quote tweeted that on Twitter and said, basketball school, question mark. I thought we were in the SEC, hashtag 4 postseason wins or consecutive postseason wins or whatever it was.
By the way, 2A has 0 KBs in it. So you.
Cool.
Yeah. Sorry.
That's on me. That's what you get for being your own audio editor, ladies and gentlemen. That's all right. You'll hear the clip here inside of this, and I'll just come back and talk about it. Clip 2, Mark Stoops talking to Marty and McGee, who I love. Great show. Part of the reason I love is because they get interviews like this, and it turns into stuff like this. Here is Mark Stoops talking about his efforts at the University of Kentucky to change the culture of the football program. Oh, you got to be blanking kidding me. Is this on me? Okay.
What's the best part of, like, what you've built? like the output of that? I mean, the winning's great.
Yeah.
But what's the part of it where you just go, we've done this?
You know, I think ultimately it's the respect throughout the league when you're dealing with coaches and players. You know, win or lose, you walk out and you know you're going to be in for a physical matchup. You know, that we're coming to play, we're coming to compete, and having that mindset. Because that's not easy to change.
Right.
You know, I've talked years ago about climate versus culture. You know, it's easy to change a climate.
Yeah.
You know, you just change a uniform, talk a little game, dance around, put on some stupid sunglasses, and you could change a climate. But to change a culture is at the core.
Right.
And I'm quite certain we changed our culture. You know, just who we are and how we're perceived. And you look around it with the greatest coaches, you know, some of the greatest coaches amongst others in other leagues, but some of the greatest coaches, and that respect that you get, and the respect that our players carry with them, because they know who they are. And so I don't pretend this is not about me, but that culture throughout our whole organization has totally flipped from being kind of looked at as a dog to being looked at as, hey, you better come ready to play because we're coming. You know, and our players feel that, our fans feel that, and that's a good feeling.
Wow. I heard you recording it, and I didn't hear it until just now.
So you picked out what I picked out.
Yeah, I did.
Any chance I could ask you, Lonzo, for the extra work to set the play button at the beginning of wherever in that clip you think there is something worth listening to again?
Kind of hard to do while we're on the air.
Oh, that's true.
I mean,
That's true.
You know,
I
I can guess.
I don't know if you could put it in queue and do that, but
No,
I guess
not
you
while
can
the
if I'm
mics
on
are
the air,
on.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, but I can. I mean, if you want me to give it a shot, I could definitely just point out what I heard.
Sure,
if that's what
go,
you like.
You know what? I think that might be more impactful. Go ahead, Lonzo. We played that clip. It's about $1:30 in length. Give me the point where I saw Lonzo's ears perk up and the head begin to shake.
All right, so he just cracked on Shane Beamer about, you know, changing culture, but not why people believe that bulletin board material doesn't work. Yes, it does. It absolutely does. As someone, Rob and I both have been on sports teams. Bulletin board stuff does work. He just gave South Carolina some bulletin board material. To the point where when South Carolina plays Kentucky, I hope everybody in the crowd is wearing sunglasses because that would be awesome. And why are you coming at South Carolina for? I don't get that. Kentucky is at a different level now, right? Right? Why would you come at South Carolina for? It sounds like a little bit of fear there to me. Or maybe some envy that you're not as cool as Beamer is. I mean, I don't know what it is. The chip on your shoulder is going to get knocked off when South Carolina plays you because you just gave them material.
So, yes, to just all of it, right? Now, I'm not defending Shane Beamer because he's at South Carolina and we cover the Gamecocks. I'm defending Shane Beamer here because if you're at all watching this program, it's pretty evident that Shane Beamer has got everybody that wears garnet and black bought in right now, right? I do not have, when Shane Beamer came on board, though, there was a contingent of Gamecock fans and me that went, it's not the guy, right? It felt like a hire based on last name. If Shane Beamer wasn't a Beamer, would he get this job? Or would they look elsewhere, right? Here we are, a season and some change later. I'm in. The guy has won me over. I am in. I think that there is a culture shift going on. I think there is a culture shift going on. I think there is a buy-in to that culture shift from South Carolina fans. I think there is a buy-in to that culture shift from Gamecock football players, from those inside the program, from the athletic department staff. In the conversations that I have had based around folks in and around Columbia, South Carolina, they have bought in. Now, that's not to say it's going to work. That's not to say it's going to definitely produce a more successful football program in Columbia. But if you are going to have a successful football program in Columbia, South Carolina, you have got to change the culture. And as far as I can tell, Shane Beamer's done a great job. Now, if Shane Beamer changes that culture, and then they go out and they go 6-6, 5-7, 6-6, 5-7 the next 4 years, then it doesn't matter, right? He'll just be the nerd. He'll just be the weirdo, right? It is one thing when the dude shows up at the Comic-Con wearing a shirt that's too small with his belly hanging out, no deodorant, and dirty hair, and goes, I like your Ninja Turtles. Versus when the investment banker who also likes comic books shows up, and you're like, oh, okay, it's actually kind of cool to be a nerd, right? Maybe Beamer is a bit of a nerd. It doesn't matter if he's successful, because all the people around him have bought into that. He's not comic book guy from The Simpsons. He's Robert Downey Jr. right now. But see, Robert Downey Jr. has put out Iron Man. He's put out a franchise. He's put out something that started a revolution in entertainment with the current way that we look at comic book movies. Shane Beamer is RDJ when he was announced as Iron Man. He's young. He's good looking. Sure, there's questions about his past, but he's on the right trail right now. And everybody's looking and going, all right, he looks the part. He feels the part. But can he deliver a performance that goes, that makes me go, yeah, I'm in now, right? I know this is a whacked analogy, but it follows, right? We had a ton of Batman movies and a couple of bad Spider-Man movies when RDJ was announced as Iron Man. And again, there were questions about his past, just like Shane Beamer. But RDJ was young, like Beamer, energetic, like Beamer, good looking, like Beamer, confident in the ability, like Beamer. And so we all went, yeah, I'll give him a chance. I'll give him a chance. And then we went to see Iron Man, and it changed the way we looked at superhero movies to the point that it spawned the most successful movie franchise of all time. Right? That's what Beamer's got to do next. He's got to have his Iron Man moment. He's got to have the moment where we all look at the product and go, damn, that's a good look. Stoops coming after him by going, oh, it's easy to change climate. You just wear dumb sunglasses and dance around. Stoops, do you understand that that is effective, right? That clip a week and a half or 2 weeks ago of Shane Beamer putting on the glasses and dancing with the kids in the meeting room went viral amongst the Gamecock fans. And here's the thing. Kentucky fans might think it's stupid. Do you know what South Carolina fans think about that? They don't care. They don't care. They don't care. I'll give you the perfect example. After Florida got smoked by Bama in the SEC championship game a few years back, remember the game where Tim Tebow cried on the sideline? And then he goes in the locker room and he's like, I promise you, nobody's going to work as hard as me.
He sounded more manly when he did it.
No, he didn't. No, the hell he did not.
For sure, he did.
No, the hell he did not.
He absolutely did.
I promise you, nobody's going to work as hard as us. Nobody's going to be as dedicated as us, as passionate as us. It's like, dude, Bama just was that. And it was cheesy, and it was corny, and it was ridiculous, and it was silly. And then they put a plaque of that speech on the stadium, right? And they rallied around that moment, did the Gator fans. They called that moment a watershed moment for Tim Tebow, a watershed moment for the Florida Gators. Rob Brown and a lot of other people thought that was the corniest, most ridiculous, inspirational speech of all time, but the Gators don't give a crap what I think or you think or the Gamecock fans think or the Tigers fans think or the Tide fans think. They didn't care. That was their moment. It was their thing. They used it as a foundation to build something special the next year, and it worked like a dream. Same situation. You might think Beamer's dances are corny, and his hip-hop stuff is corny, and his jumping around is corny. But if you think it's corny and the Gamecock football nation buys in and uses it as a launch pad to get to the next level, Shane nor anybody else in Garnet and Black give a good gosh darn about how you feel about it.
You know who people who don't like things like that are usually pretty boring. They're pretty boring. They take their job really seriously. They don't realize that it's a kid's game. You get to influence kids and show them what it's like to be a part of a team. And, you know, whether it's a football team, a basketball team, or a team at work, it's okay to have fun. Anything Stoops does is not being copied over and over again by high school coaches and other college coaches. What Beamer did is. And you never catch Will Muschamp doing that. Will Muschamp, Stoops, kind of the same guy, okay, as far as personality. As far as personality goes, it's the same guy. I'd rather have my coach be fun. But you're right, he needs to win. He absolutely needs to win. But coming out of the culture they just came out of with Muschamp, I love this. I think it's awesome.
Texter says, strong words from the football coach at a basketball school. Got him. Let's take a break. Let's come back. I want to talk more about this culture versus climate thing that Stoops just brought up. Listen, I'm not saying Stoops is wrong. There is a difference between changing the culture of a program and changing the climate around it. I agree with that entirely. The question is, which one is Beamer doing? And is the putting on silly sunglasses and dancing around part of a culture change or part of a climate change? We'll try to answer that when we come back. Rob Lonzo, this is the Rob Brown Show. This is the Fan Upstate. All right, dudes and dudettes, what's up? Good morning, everybody. How we doing? Morning, boys. Just on the 4-letter. Pulisic wants to sign Man U. If he signs that as a death warrant on his career, that's a little dramatic, Skrilla. I mean, he went from a huge signing at Chelsea to certainly not a role player. But
What's the NFL equivalent? So what team would it be like him signing to? Jacksonville?
No. I
So
mean,
they're
Man United's terrible right now.
But they're not as bad as Jacksonville.
But they're the difference is Man U, outside of the Glazers being owners, Man U has the most solid foundation. Like, Man U's the Cowboys right now, right? Like, the owner's terrible and makes so many bad decisions that it impacts what should be a good football team every year.
So Man U is Britain's team?
Yeah, honestly. Kinda.
Okay.
They
All
are
right.
the most valuable sporting franchise in the world. They are worth $5 billion. I can't stop watching that thing you sent me.
Which one?
The Kyler Murray one.
Okay. I just sent you something else that's
I just left that up to go back and keep watching it during the break.
it's so good.
It's so funny.
Danhausen has tweeted, "Thank you, Tony Khan. Please give Danhausen $1 billion human dollars and a birthday card on live television, and nobody gets cursed." Because apparently today is his birthday. You know, we just completely glossed over and passed up the fact that Rob is heartless and made fun of Tim Tebow crying. I just do want to throw that out there.
I didn't make fun of him for crying. As the Macho Man said, it's okay to cry. Can I be abundantly clear? I did not make fun of Tim Tebow for crying.
You're kind of making fun.
I did not.
Yeah, you were. Yeah,
As the Macho Man said, it's okay to cry. You gotta show some emotion. What I made fun of was the speech. Nobody's gonna work as hard as us. Like, it drives me nuts. And I know it's one of those semantic things, but it drives me nuts when football players are like, I'm gonna be the hardest working guy out here. No, you're not. No, you're not. Every dude out, you don't make it to the toppest levels of college football and be a winner unless you bust it 100.
Let me tell you.
Nobody slacks.
The last time I saw someone in person cry in football, our football coach in high school came on the bus and said, because an assistant coach left us and went to the school we were going to and really destroyed us and the coach was crying, saying, I don't care what you do, I want you to hurt them, which basically was a hit, and it was wrong. But the ambulance was busy that night. I had never seen the guys hit as hard as they did.
The ambulance was busy
that
night.
It was. That's
a hell of a lie.
There was one time, and you watch film the next day, there were like 5 or 6 of their players just laying on the ground.
Look.
It was, but it's because he came on there and he cried. And there was a bunch of young kids out there like, that's my coach. I'm going to go out.
That's my quarterback.
Yeah, exactly.
So for the record, to jump in here, I got no problem with guys crying, all right? It's good to show emotion, brother. I got no problem with the crying. The speech was dumb, right? I got no problem.
It worked, though.
With your coach crying because he got his back stabbed by somebody he was expected to be able to trust. I got no issue with that. If you don't cry, you need a therapist. All right? It's okay to cry. It's grown to cry. No worries. The speech was dumb. That's all I'm saying.
Keegan says, Rob, your camera is out of focus on the stream. It's blurry like Tim Tebow's eyes during his speech. Yeah, don't pile on Tim Tebow, Keegan. If it's blurry, it's because Rob keeps beating on the desk over there and the camera's jumping.
Ooh, yeah. All right.
It's like an earthquake.
So, listen. Let's talk climate versus culture.
We've already seen it at South Carolina once. We've already seen it. We've seen climate change at South Carolina when Steve Spurrier came in.
It's because cows fart a lot.
That's Clemson.
Oh, yeah, got it.
Yeah. So he comes in and has to teach a team how to win, a team that had never learned how to win. And how it ended was not good with Spurrier, but he changed the climate. No, he wasn't dancing or anything like that, but he was throwing one-liners out left and right, which were amazing. But he changed the climate. So the thing is this changing the climate again for Beamer, or is he taking it back to where Spurrier had it?
Yeah, it's again,
which he was a part of.
I agree with that. And the concept of climate v. culture is exactly what we're talking about here. I'll give you the perfect example, okay? Florida State, Willie Taggart, right? I was broadcasting down in Destin. Obviously, we had a big FSU contingent. I covered that program very closely. It's kind of a similar setup with Florida State that I have now with South Carolina Clemson. So I covered Florida State very closely, and I was on the air when Willie Taggart showed up. And when Willie Taggart showed up, when Willie Taggart got there and became the head coach at FSU, came down from Oregon after 1 year running the Gulf Coast offense, the climate changed, but not the culture. In fact, I'd argue the culture changed, but for the worse, right? The Florida State fans, when Willie Taggart showed up, were hesitant up front. It was very similar to Shane Beamer. We're hesitant up front, but then Willie T showed up on campus and bought way the hell in, or so we thought, right? Bought way in. They showed up. They started talking about the energy and the electricity and everything around Willie Taggart. And then when Willie T got on campus, everywhere he went, he'd have the band and the cheerleaders come out, and you never saw Taggart in anything but garnet and gold. I mean, the FSU fans bought in. And then in week 1, Labor Day, they played the University of Miami as the opener. The biggest rivalry outside of Florida was the opener for FSU. And I was actually at that game, right? And the energy in Doak Campbell Stadium was through the roof, man, to the moon. And the team comes out, and the hip-hop music's playing, and there's they're swag surfing, and the kickoff team's out there, and they got the swag surf and the turnover backpack, which was the dumbest turnover thing ever. But the turnover backpack came out, and everybody was in, and then Florida State got their ass kicked for a full season and a half before Willie T got removed mid-season. Why? Because the climate had changed in Tallahassee, but the culture was terrible. Now, granted, there's a lot of FSU fans that will argue that when Jimbo Fisher left, necessitating the hire of Taggart, when Jimbo Fisher left, he left the cupboard bare. He had quit recruiting for a year and a half because he knew he was going somewhere, yada, yada, yada. No, that's fine. But what you had in Tallahassee was a bunch of guys that wanted to play football and wanted to do it at Florida State, but they didn't want to put in the work to be elite level football players. And all it took was 3 or 4 games under Willie T to see, and that was kind of the beginning of the end for where FSU football is today. That is to say, not in a good place. Willie T changed the climate because he had a bunch of guys that were like, yo, Willie T's hype, right? Willie T's my guy. We got the cool music and the all black jerseys and the chains and the this and that. And I got no problem with any of that. If your team is kicking ass, wear new jerseys. Wear new threads. Break out the chains. I don't care about any of that. I don't care about the look of the team if the culture of the team is good and the team is playing well. So Stoops dropping, it's easy. It's easy to change the climate. You put on some dumb sunglasses and you dance around a little bit. And he's right. He's right. That is an easy way to do it, right? That's an easy way to do it. It's easy to show up as a head coach and just do the things that you know your team is going to like. The harder thing to do is to get the boys to buy in and then do all the hard things it takes to be good. So far as I can tell, Beamer's pointed in that direction too. So if the culture changes, I don't care if my head coach wears funny sunglasses and raps and makes TikTok videos with the fellas. I don't care if he's winning. At the end of the day, the only thing that matters this year, what Shane Beamer wears is irrelevant. Whether or not he makes TikTok videos is irrelevant. Whether or not he is making dumb videos in a what was it, a Wendy's at 2 a.m. with his tie loosened up, none of that matters. You know what's going to matter when we get to December, Lonzo? Are they bowl eligible? Did they get the over of 5.5 and get to 6? Did they beat the over and go to 7? Hell, I think there is the possibility, though not probability, that 8-4 is possible. Did they do that? Right? For the record, Mark Stoops might be right. I said when Willie Taggart was at Florida State and I was broadcasting in beautiful Destin, Florida, across the Panama City, I said, guys, Willie Taggart's not the guy. And the FSU fans were like, no, Rob, you're wrong. You're wrong. He's amazing. He's this, he's that. He's got the boys hyped. They're crunk, I think was the word at the time. They're hyped. And I went, right, but I've seen this team practice. There's no discipline. There's no effort. They just think we're FSU, we're going to roll everybody. And a year and a half later, when they fired him midseason, it proved prophetic. Mark Stoops might be right. He might be saying, you know, we're taking all this stuff that Shane Beamer is doing on TikTok and on Twitter, and we might be taking the fact that the team likes him and going, therefore they're good.
Yeah, but why do this? Why pick on a team that's picked to be down near the bottom of the East and the SEC period? Why pick on that team when you're actually ranked? Kentucky is ranked like 20th, I believe, in the AP. Why would you pick on a team that you consider being beneath you? If you want to show something, you want to show some guts, you want to show that you're where you think you are, go after Bama.
Go get Saban.
Yeah, go after Bama.
Here's the problem.
Or go after Georgia.
Because those teams, their culture is rock solid. You got any questions about the culture at Alabama? Hell no.
No.
You got any questions about the culture at Georgia right now?
No.
Nope. There's other schools that you could have gone for, right? Tennessee. But here's the thing. Tell me right now, if I showed you a picture of Josh Heupel, could you pick him out, Lonzo? Honestly.
No, I could not.
Most people couldn't. There's no electricity to Heupel unless you're a Tennessee fan. Heupel's not getting YouTube clips posted on ESPN during the fun segments. Right? Who else? Who else do you got? Vanderbilt? How many of y'all can tell me who the head coach at Vanderbilt is right now? Most of you can't. It's not a shot at Vandy. It's just Shane Beamer is in an interesting position at South Carolina right now. Because he's at a program that could be elevated, right? Could be elevated. South Carolina could. If you're going to tell me Clemson can do what Clemson can do an hour and 10 minutes away and South Carolina can't, I don't agree with you. Everything's the same. The facilities are great. It's a fertile recruiting ground, and you've got the advantage of SEC money attached to you, right? Shane Beamer's in charge of a program that could go to an elite level, but hasn't because of bad decisions from the athletic director's office over the years. I'm not pinning it on one guy, but just bad decisions. And Shane Beamer, on top of that, is one of the most visible coaches in college football right now. Not recognized, but visible. If I asked you right now, what coach in the SEC has had the most viral internet clips go around this offseason? There's two answers. Nick Saban, because Nick Saban can say anything and it will go viral, and Shane Beamer. Those are my answers. Lonzo, is Billy Napier being talked about or discussed or seen as much as Shane Beamer is right now?
No.
No, and he's in charge of a program that was elite just a few years back in Florida. Is Mark Stoops going as viral right now as Shane Beamer? Only in that he got into a fight with John Calvin, not because of anything he's doing. Is Jimbo Fisher? Hell, the only other guy who might be close is Lane Kiffin, who said yesterday that they picked up their Ole Miss punter this year at a frat party earlier this offseason.
Yeah, but Lane Kiffin's always going to be. Yeah, that's his personality.
That's just him. Brian Kelly went viral for dancing, but it was because he looked like an idiot. And because he went, I'm down here in the Baton Rouge, fly on away. We were making fun of him, right? Even LSU fans were making fun of him because guy from South Bend via Baston showed up and went, I'm glad to be down here with my family. It's not how we say it, Brian. What Shane is doing is being recognized. Stoops might be right. It might be a climate change instead of a culture change. We won't know that till the end of this football season. Does he have a Willie Taggart year where you go, oh crap, nope, that's just as good as he can do? Or do they punch to the next level? Back after this on the Rob Brown Show. This is the Fan Upstate.
It took me a while. I get it now. Rob just wanted to say climate change. Like
as many times as I
yes.
could.
Yes, he did.
South Carolina needs to get rid of the metaphorical cow farts. You know what? I wish I'd have said that on air. I really do.
I don't know that he needs to start that hot. You just got to win the games you're supposed to win, and a couple that you're not.
A guy in Florida got arrested earlier this week for trying to have sex with not one but two different manatees. I hate my old state sometimes.
I hate to ask this, but is that even possible? I don't.
A man a threesome.
I'm not going to look it up, but I mean,
they're mammals. They got mammal parts. I assume so.
Okay.
People get arrested every year for trying to do dolphins. A mammal's just a manatee is just a fatter, dumber dolphin. Yeah, I saw that Baker thing the other day. Dude, he just seems like a cool guy. I just want to hang out with Baker. B&M Stores, which I guess is like a Five Below kind of store.
Okay.
Sent out this tweet. Normally, if you go to a shop, you've got a 50-50 chance of leaving with what you went in for. But we're not normal. So you got a 25% at best of leaving with just that. And then you add candles to the mix, your chances of leaving drastically go down. They cut a Steiner math promo. Oh, they went on. See, if you go to 3 shops, you got a 33 1/3 chance of leaving. But us, you got a 66 2/3 chance of leaving. Because other shops know they can't beat us, and they're not even going to try. So you take your 33 1/3 chance minus our 25% chance, and you got an 8 1/3 chance of leaving. But then you take our 75% chance of leaving, and then add 66 2/3%, you got 141 2/3% chance of leaving with more than you went in for. The numbers don't lie, and they spell disaster for you at B&M.
Wow.
The mentions, the replies to that tweet are amazing. in that you've got a group of people that are just hitting them back with Steiner gifts and a group of people that are like, are you having a stroke right now, social media manager, who don't know what's going on.
So I fixed your blurriness, but now you're squinting the entire time. I mean, so either you're blurry or you're
I don't
squinting.
have my glasses on.
You're squint.
I don't have my glasses
Turn
on.
around, look. Turn around, look real quick.
Yeah, it's because I do.
No, because it looks like the light is.
Oh, you mean I'm not actually squinting? It just looks that way?
Yeah.
Put my glasses on. It's fine. But I don't want to because I don't like wearing glasses and hat at the same time. One head accessory at a time.
So it made you less blurry and it made me dark. I'm okay with that. When Trey says he might have been drunk and thought it was a mermaid, apparently that happened a lot back in the day with pirates and stuff. Being drunk and that stuff. Do modern day pirates talk like pirates? Because there are modern day pirates. They've been in the news before.
Yeah, but they're
Like
all
the Somali
Yeah.
pirates and stuff.
Look at me. I'm the captain now. Have you seen that movie? Captain Phillips or whatever it's called?
No. I know what you're talking about, though.
I watched that Elvis movie last night.
Is it really good?
It's very it's very artistic, right?
I was gonna say it didn't look really realistic because I didn't see him fat at any point.
Oh, he's fat at the end.
Is he?
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
They basically tell the story that leads up to him getting hooked on drugs and getting fat and dying. Like him getting fat and hooked on drugs and dying is like the last little bit of the movie. It focuses a lot on leaving Tupelo, his interaction with Colonel Tom Phillips, all the way up to
Tom Hanks as a bad guy looks like it's pretty effective.
well,
But
Colonel
what-
Tom Parker, not Phillips.
What about the accent though? I'm not sure.
Well, he was Dutch in real life.
Was
Colonel
he?
Tom Parker was Dutch in real life. He was a Dutch immigrant. And so it's kind of interesting because, like, Tom Parker definitely took advantage of Elvis, but also there would be no Elvis if it wasn't for Tom Parker. So it's kind of a weird spot. And they make it pretty evident that it was a very complicated situation. I thought it was great, but it's very stylistic in that they like mix in modern music as like breaks between scenes, but that have sampled Elvis music later.
Okay.
So there's like a Doja Cat song where she sampled Hound Dog, and they play that mixed with Elvis vocals. It's really good. All right, couple of tweets on the Preferred Home Services text line that came in during the last couple of segments. Texter said, Rob, strong words from the football coach at a basketball school talking about Mark Spoops. Yep, got him. That's exactly right. Texter said, fan not to be that guy, but Tebow's speech came in the middle of the season after losing to Ole Miss. They did not lose again. Yeah, that's right. Like I said, and I got the game wrong, but I was in a hurry trying to get back to Mark Stoops. Listen, the crying is fine. The speech was dumb. It does not matter if I think the speech was dumb. It built a foundation of culture at Florida that then won them a natty, right? If I go, hey, your thing is done. It's like this, Alonzo. Hypothetically speaking, it's like if somebody sent me a tweet that's like, your show is dumb, you yell too much, nobody likes you, and I just replied with a picture of a crystal trophy that said South Carolina Broadcasters Association Sports Talk Radio Show of the Year.
That you would never do such a thing.
No.
And no one would ever send you that message.
I definitely wouldn't do it 6 to 10 times over the last 6 months, all right? But that's it. I can go, that Tebow speech was dumb, and Florida fans can just hold out the natty. And it's like, do you think we care what you think? Do you think I care that you think I am immature, dumb, a nerd, and I yell too much when I got a trophy and a new contract that says I did a good job? No, I don't care. I'm going to do what I do, and if you don't like it, don't be a part of it. And if you do, great, get on the team, right?
All I can say is you don't say something like that and then lose to the team that you're making fun of. So Kentucky better beat South Carolina.
Kentucky better win. Texas said, Rob, I would love to hear that Clemson sock color comment from yesterday as a promo. I'll go back and see if I can find it. I was making a point that, I asked the question, when you get into certain spots, like, I'm not the guy that asks a question to the audience just for the sake of having a question. Like, do y'all want to see different color socks out of Clemson this year? Like, I don't care. You don't care. And that was it. Fan, the turnover gimmick peaked when some team brought out a turnover chainsaw. Some of the turnover stuff was good. Some of it was really bad.
I kind of like the turnover. Was it an actual chainsaw? Yeah. Did they have to wear a real chainsaw
there wasn't
around?
A chain on it, but they would rev it on the sideline.
All right.
Was it Washington? I don't remember who it was. Listen, I hate a Miami Hurricane, but the turnover chain was the top tier.
Did they do the Leatherface dance with the chainsaw? Which is awesome, by the way.
The turnover chain was top tier. The turnover trash can and backup were both garbage. All right? If you're going to do a turnover thing, do it right. Mario Cristobal got rid of the turnover chain, by the way. He's like, that does not fit our culture. That's culture building. Back after this for hour 2 of the Rob Brown Show. This is the Fan Upstate.
Disappointed. I don't know if I'm just looking at the wrong place, but I can't find a Cameron Poe statue.
It's easy to think all money managers are pretty much the same, but at Fisher Investments, we're clearly different. Different how? You sell high commission investment products, right?
Although I do know a guy that could probably get, find me one.
If we find one, it's going on the wall.
Be worried.
It's not going on the wall. We will hold it in the air the entire show, every show.
Nah, man. Here's what we do: we put a third camera on and just have it on. Yeah, I've done stuff like that before. Yeah, why not? Why not?
Tired of companies like Google and Facebook watching everything you do online? There's actually a simple solution. DuckDuckGo. It's an all-in-one privacy app with a built-in private search engine, web browser, one-click data clearing, email protection, and more. All for free. Download the app today and get the most comprehensive privacy protection with a push of a button. DuckDuckGo. Privacy simplified. Now CBS Sports Radio.
On your radio at 97.7 FM, 1330 AM, Greenville, 97.1 FM, 950 AM, Parkenburg.
Listen on your phone. Download the Odyssey app and search the Fan Upstate.
There's a whole lot more to know about sound if you really want to go into the subject.
Your smart speaker. Just say play 97 The Fan Upstate. On your HD radio at WFBC HD3. There's just one more thing. And on your computer at
FanUpstate.com.
Hi, my name is Rob Inerio, and according to my parents, accidents do happen. If you've been injured by an auto accident, slip and fall, medical malpractice, or a dog bite, I would love to be your attorney. Please give me a call at 864-CALL-ROB or visit me online at callrob.com.
Apparently, Burns has a turnover Chucky doll.
Do they?
I hate that less than a backpack.
Transferring out after Frank Martin left is not a surprise. Those kids were there to play for Frank Martin, not the University of South Carolina. So the win here for Lamont Paris, the new head coach at South Carolina, is not to go and keep the roster intact. The win is, how do I replace those guys with guys who want to play for me? Don't panic, Gamecocks fans.
Did you see the picture I put together for my Am I a Bad
Yeah,
Fan take?
yeah, I did see that.
South Carolina. Now that they're gone, you can bring in kids who are committed to the next regime. And as Eric Musselman at Arkansas has shown you, which by the way, just picked up his
Show, new time. Now 19 noon, only on the Fan, Upstate.
The 2022 Upstate Golf Card is still on sale for only $99. Get a round of golf at 10
Can't
Upstate
you
courses,
see
Legacy Pines, Willow Creek,
you belong to me?
Brookstone, and more. UpstateGolfCard.com. This feature sponsored by Simple Green and the Simple Green family of cleaning products. The safer choice. Visit simplegreen.com.
Oh, this reminds me. I hope I don't have to voice anything. Those little liners.
In general, you work
No,
at
no,
radio stations,
no.
so I doubt
Those little liners like Joe. That was Joe
Oh,
voicing.
gotcha, okay.
Because it's, I hear his voice and then me having to fill in and do it. It's like a comparison thing. It's like, don't do that. No. I'll tag like nobody's business, but I don't want to be compared to Joe. It's too smooth. I had to do it last time he was on vacation, and then just like months later, it was still on there. I'm like, come on, is that number for something else?
I hate when I get partnered up with somebody who has a good radio voice.
Yeah, me too.
See, 'cause genuinely, I don't think I have one, right? I think I have like a very average radio voice.
Speaking of an awesome radio voice,
I had to work with a dude down in Destin for about 6 months who had this great deep bass radio voice, but he was really high energy with it. And it was like, dude, come on.
speaking of Destin, did you see the Destin water spout?
I've seen those in real life.
Yeah, this just like happened yesterday. Is because I get stinking weather on my Twitter feed. Always tornadoes or tornado-like activity. And now that I've said it and my phone heard it, I'm going to get more. Stop showing me tornadoes. I don't want to see them.
Tornadoes.
You see kinetics in the first break.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. The Rob Brown Show is right here on the Fan Upstate. Hello, and how do you do? I am Rob Brown, the great one. Hashtag Dad Kicks, Colonel Grudge, the Alpha and the Omega of the Fan Upstate, the Sultan of Swag, the Content Cash Cow, the Professor of Perfection, the Wizard of Wave, Lonzo, is on the other side of the glass, metaphorically speaking. We are glad to have you along for the ride. 844-FAN phone, 844-FAN-FONE, 844-FAN phone is the way to get on the air with us. You can also send your text to 71307, the Preferred Home Services text line, 71307. Start that text with FAN, F-A-N, FAN, F-A-M, and we will read them on the air for you. You can also chat with us via Twitter, at The Rob Brown Show, at The Rob Brown Show on Twitter, or hit up Lonzo at Lonzo on Word, at Lonzo on Word if you want to go in that direction. You can tweet everybody at the station at The Fan Upstate, at The Fan Upstate. A couple other things that we want you to be aware of. If you go to the website, thefanupstate.com, thefanupstate.com. Number one, if you are a Burns Rebels fan, I put up a season preview on the website yesterday at thefanupstate.com, thefanupstate.com. The other thing that's available for you is the podcasted version of the show. So if you miss a minute of the show live from 9 to noon, or if you, as Lonzo had someone tell him yesterday, said, I used to listen to the show all the time when you guys were noon to 3, but I work from 9 to noon. so I can't really catch the show as much anymore. Well, the podcasted version is available for you at thefanupstate.com, thefanupstate.com. You go there, and when you do, right at the top of the page, right there in the dead center, because it's important to us, is a button that says podcast. If you hover that button, a little menu drops down with 3 options: Offsides with Mark Ryan, Saturday Morning Scramble, and of course, The Rob Brown Show. Click on The Rob Brown Show, and when you drop it down, it is actually going to bring up the podcasted version of the show. And you're going to get 2 different styles of podcast there. Number 1, you're going to get every hour podcasted. And Lonzo, being the kind, generous, and merciful radio god that he is, edits those down. So those 1 hours, they're more in the neighborhood of like 39 to 40. You get the full hour.
Hour number 1's already up, by the way.
Yep, hour number 1 of this show is already up. The other thing that you are going to get are highlight segments of the show. Like, for instance, yesterday when I asked the question, I'm a big Greenville Triumph fan, but I skipped the biggest match of the season to go to an Alan Jackson concert. Am I canceled as a fan? Do I need to lay down the banner of true Triumph fan for having skipped a match? Something I do not take a lot of pride in, but I had to go see AJ. That full segment has been edited down, is now up in the podcast section, so you can go back, listen, and leave your feedback on that segment. Go to thefanupstate.com, hit the podcast button at the top, drop it down to The Rob Brown Show, and make sure you're tuning in and catching up every single day. Let's go ahead and aggravate some people here, Lonzo. Why not? Texter said, well, let me start with this one. I'm going to get to the next text, but I just got this text. Texter says, Rob, commenting on the people complaining, I haven't been listening in the past few months, but I think the show and both of you guys have improved. I started back listening this week, and I like the content. I wouldn't mind a little more pro sports, local basketball. We have national 4- and 5-star recruits right in our backyard. Would love to hear about how South Carolina is becoming a legit national hotbed for basketball and a little less Southern college coverage. And I appreciate that text, man. Thank you very much. Lonzo and I are getting better, which better scare the hell out of everybody else. All right? Here's how programming decisions get made. As I've told you guys a million times and will a million more, it's made based on what you guys react to. College football is king in these parts. Make no mistakes about that. You guys react to college football more than anything else. You want more NFL? Doesn't hurt my feelings at all. But you got to react. You got to give us feedback. You got to let us know that that's what you care about. You want more college basketball? Same story. You want more NBA, more MLB? Same story. You will get more of what you react to. When we pull up a segment that generates phone calls, we know that you care about that. When you send in text responding to a segment we're doing, we know you care about that. When you send in tweets, when you send in emails about things that we have talked about, we know that you care about that. I know it's very simple to listen to the show and just sit back and be entertained by Lonzo, and also I'm here. I get it. I understand it. But I'm also telling you that you guys have more programming power than the majority of you recognize. And I'm talking about on this station, this show, and any other. What you react to is what becomes top-tier programming. Nothing gets reacted to more than college football around here. That's why you hear the most of it. You want more NFL? React to more NFL. Send us text, send us tweets, send us emails, call the show. You want more MLB, more NBA, more soccer? You got to interact with it. That's how this works. All right, Zoe. Texter says, Robin Lonzo, do you think that South Carolina has a chance to beat Clemson this season?
There's always a chance. I mean, are they ready for Clemson yet? Probably not. Probably not. But every year, a team that's not supposed to beat another team does. It's going to happen this year multiple times. Why not at the end of the year? And the thing is, all the hype, like we talked about in the last hour, we still don't know what South Carolina is going to be. if Spencer Rattler is the Spencer Rattler he was a couple years ago, who knows? If the defense plays better than they did last year and they improved over Muschamp for sure, who knows? If the running game does what it probably will do, who knows? If DJ takes a step back even further for Clemson, who knows? I don't think that's going to happen, though.
My response will be this. Do they have a chance? Sure. Appalachian State has a chance to beat Michigan. It happens. It's why we play the game. The way you want to phrase this question, and I know a lot of you hear gambling and instantly tune out, but follow along for a second. Because you don't have to gamble to recognize that gambling lines are a really good indication of what reality looks like. Don't ask a dude like me, do you think South Carolina has a chance to beat Clemson? Yes, they do. Everybody has a chance to beat anybody. That's how football works. We wouldn't play the game if that wasn't the case. The question you should ask is, what are the odds that South Carolina beats Clemson, right? Handicap it. What are the odds that the Gamecocks beat Clemson? Right now, for me, Lonzo, about 9-1.
Well, if you break it down position by position, Clemson's the superior team. They just are because of recruiting and all that kind of stuff. But superior teams have been beaten before because emotion comes into play. So many other things come into play. And the season hasn't started yet. Injuries come into play. There's just so many things. But is there a chance? Yes, there's a chance.
There is a chance. About 9-1.
Under Muschamp, there was no chance.
About 9-1, in my opinion. The answer is South Carolina beating Clemson this year will be nominated for upset of the year. It just will. Now, I have been on board with Shane Beamer from about 5 games, 6 games into last season. All right? I wasn't on board with the hiring. I didn't make a secret of that. I didn't know if he was the right guy for the job, but it certainly didn't feel like he was to me. Since then, he has won me over. Since then, I have come on board. I do not think I am getting Willie Taggarted here. I do not think that I am getting Will Muschamp here. Actually, no, that's not even fair, because I don't think anybody thought Did anybody? I wasn't here. But when South Carolina hired Muschamp when I was down in Florida, my response was, what? What? The guy couldn't do it at the time the most elite school in the SEC East, and now he's going to come to your definitely not that school and win? But
there was not happiness when Muschamp came to South Carolina.
Okay.
That continued year after year of not much happiness. But like any team, when he's your guy, you're going to have a portion of the fan base that will support him because he's the guy on your team. I'm not sure that those guys who were supporting him their hearts were in it, but it's our guy. He's coaching our team. We have to cheer for him, that type of thing. But no, there was not a joyous eruption all over the state of South Carolina when except for maybe in Clemson, when Clemson's like, oh, good, okay, all right, we don't have to worry about that 5 years in a row again. They got Muschamp.
Texter says, why are Gamecocks fans worried about Clemson? They should be worried about their real rival, Kentucky. Nice. Well done. The answer is I wouldn't have much optimism about that win if I'm a Gamecock. Scratch that. If I'm a Gamecock fan, I got all the optimism in the world about the win because that's how rivalries work, right? But as a betting man,
it wouldn't be miraculous. It would be miraculous, I guess, if South Carolina comes into that game having only like one loss. We'll say they beat everybody but Georgia. Not impossible. They beat everybody but Georgia. They got one loss coming into that game. There can be a lot of people believing they got a shot.
Sure.
And you're talking. You've said earlier that you believe they can win 8 games. If they can win 8 games, why can't they win 10 games?
because there's a lot of really good teams on the schedule.
What if Spencer Rattler just tears it up?
Hey, fingers crossed, dude. Like, fingers crossed. I've told you. I think, in fact, I was listening yesterday, and I was listening to Offsides yesterday, and we got Carter Bryant filling in for Mark Ryan this week. And Carter said, I think the best thing in the world for Spencer Rattler was he got his rear kicked at Oklahoma, lost his job, and then had to transfer to a team with less pressure. And I'm like, where have I heard that before, right? It's a good take because it's right. If Spencer Rattler goes lights out, I think Spencer Rattler going lights out is what gets them to 8 wins, right? If they win 8, it's because Spencer Rattler was a baller. It just is. I think that beating Clemson is not your focus mark yet, right? Like, let me tell you the teams right now that you need to have your eyes on to make sure you win. You know what would be? You got to beat Georgia State coming out the gate. You have to win that game. You lose that game, I don't know what to say. I really don't.
Then what's next? Arkansas?
Arkansas is a top 20 program.
Yeah, you beat a top 20 in your second week.
It's a hell of a start. Hell of a start. Don't look at Clemson on November 26th. Look at Arkansas on the road September 10th. Because remember, last year, there was a game on the schedule for the Gamecocks that I thought was big, and that was at Missouri, right? And that was a game that felt like a massive letdown to go on the road and lose to Mizzou. You were coming off of a demo job against Florida. You got blowed out by Texas A&M, but remember that was an A&M team that at the time was giving Alabama fits, beat Alabama, right? I wish it had been more competitive, but it is what it is. But you lost that Mizzou game on the road, and you came back and you beat Auburn, right? I need the consistency. So look at that Arkansas game, September 10th. That game right there has the potential, Lonzo, to get people looking sideways at the Gamecocks and going, maybe this Beamer guy is pointed in the right direction.
But that I predict that instead of that being said, it will be said, see, Arkansas was overrated.
Maybe. But they're a top 20 team.
A win's a win,
Take
though.
the win for South Carolina. Don't worry about what the national narrative around that is, right? Don't worry about what the national narrative is. Worry about what the SEC narrative, your narrative is. You're going to get absolutely curb stomped by Georgia. You just are, Gamecocks fans. Get ready for that, all right? Mentally fortify yourself. You're going to get curb stomped by Georgia. You got to beat Charlotte. You got to beat SC State. October 8th, Beamer's boys head to Lexington. Lonzo, can you hand me a red pen to circle that one on the calendar, right? Because the Climate versus Culture Bowl is on. That's the win South Carolina needs to focus on. The week after that, you got Texas A&M. That's a loss, all right? Even though they're coming to Columbia, I'm going to go ahead and tell you right now, I'll be at that game. That's an interesting game to me. I'm curious about the Texas A&M game. I certainly am not putting money on South Carolina. I don't even know if I'm going to take the cover against Texas A&M. But do you know who Texas A&M? They're going to be coming off the bye. That's the bad news. The good news is, do you know who they play going into the bye? Number 1 Alabama in Tuscaloosa. If A&M gets trounced by Bama, even with the bye week split between them, maybe they're vulnerable. I'm not banking on it. I'm not betting on it. You got to beat Mizzou at your house. You got to beat Vandy at their house. And then November 12th, there's another really interesting, another in that brick of games that are most important to the Gamecocks to me. And that is in Gainesville against Florida. You smoked them last year. You got their coach fired last year by beating Florida at your house, by killing Florida at your house. Now you go down there. Billy Napier, the new head coach in Florida, is in his first year, obviously. And he's done well on the recruiting trail. But this team does not have those recruits yet, right? Which means that you're playing slightly better version of last year's team. That would be a massive win to go down to Gainesville and get that win over Tom Petty's team. Then you turn back around November 19th, 7 days later. You're back in Columbia, and Tennessee comes a calling. Josh Heupel, Tennessee fans are excited about the direction of that team. The games that are relevant to Gamecock fans are not, can we beat Georgia? Can we beat Clemson? Can we beat Texas A&M? Hell, compete, try, lay it all out there. But the games that will determine, in my opinion, a successful or a failure of a season this year for South Carolina, Arkansas, Kentucky, Mizzou, Florida, Tennessee. If you go 4-1 in those games, if you go 5-0, amazing. That's a great season. Regardless of how bad Georgia, Texas A&M, and Clemson beat you, that's a good season. If you go 4-1 in those 5, it's a really good season. If you go 3-2 in those 5, it's what we expect. That's about what we expect. If you go 2-3 or worse, it's a failure of a season in those 5, in my opinion, Lonzo.
Well, South Carolina bowl eligible last year, won their bowl, surprised a lot of people by how they won their bowl, came on stronger at the end of the year. Now they arguably have one of the better quarterbacks, could be one of the better quarterbacks in college football. You got to at least take the next step. And what is the next step? After being bowl eligible, you at least have to do that again, but you need to put a couple more wins in and, like you said, be competitive against some of those teams that you're supposed to get trounced by. And I believe they're going to do that.
All right. I don't like doing this, but what the hell? Georgia State at home. Win. South Carolina at Arkansas.
I'm going with a win but again, I'm going to be a little homerish here, but yeah, I'm going with a win.
I think it's a homer pick. I don't hate it. I'm not adamantly against you, but I'm going to go L on the road. Okay? Georgia's an L.
Georgia's an L.
Charlotte's a win. Yeah, so I've got them through 4 at 2-2. You've got them at 3-1. SC State's a win.
Yes.
Kentucky.
I think it would have been 50-50. Kentucky might be a better team right now, but I think Stoops did something he shouldn't have done. And I do think that added motivation gets you hyped, and if you know what to do with the hype, you can win that game. So I'm going with South Carolina to beat Kentucky.
We don't get hype. We stay hype. This is arguably the toughest game on the schedule to pick for me. It really is. Kentucky's a program that is getting better. Mark Stoops has got this team pointed in the right direction. How many times of your life have you gotten the AP preseason poll and Kentucky's ranked? One time, right? Even when they had Benny and the Jets, Kentucky wasn't that good. Now they are. That's a toss-up game to me. It being in Lexington, I wish this game was in Columbia, but this is the moneymaker game. Texas A&M's an L. Mizzou's a must-win. You have to beat Missouri this year. It's not an option. South Carolina has to beat Vanderbilt. South Carolina at Florida. Here's the one problem I have. Of the 5 we mentioned, Arkansas is on the road. Kentucky is on the road. Florida is on the road. 3 of the 5 are away. Got to beat Mizzou. Got to beat Vandy. Florida is a game you need to win. You need to go down there, and for 2 reasons. Number one, because it is going to be a game that can dictate whether we call this season a success or a failure. And number 2, you need to get a leg up on Billy Napier. His recruiting is going really well. You need to go beat Florida so that you can keep whatever leg up you have on Billy Napier right now. All right? And then after Florida, After Florida, you turn around, you got Tennessee. That's in the cola. That's the good news. You need to win that game. You need, especially after what happened last year with Tennessee, you need to win that game. And then at Clemson, you're going to get bounced in that game. It's going to be another 30-0 L. But you cannot let that game
right.
dictate your season.
Don't say 30-0 because I don't believe that. I think the quarterback situation is going to be better this year, and I believe the Gamecocks are going to be able to put some points on the board.
I hope.
And by that time, we're going to find out if the absence of Brent Venables means anything or not.
Texas says if they lose to Vanderbilt, Shane just needs to get on the bus back to Oklahoma and never look back. Can't lose that game. Cannot lose that game. All right, let me do this. Kevin, I see you on hold. Stay there for me. We're going to run to our break because we're off the clock. We'll come back and we'll get Kevin in here. He wants to talk about the Gamecocks. Gamecocks fans, what do you think? That's my breakdown. There are 5 games on your schedule that will dictate to me if this season was a success or a failure. You must go 3-2 in those 5 and win the rest or lose the ones you're supposed to. What do you think? Gamecocks fans, sound off. It's your turn. Back after this on the Rob Brown Show and the Fan Upstate.
QC.
And we're back.
With one preseason game in the books, Carolina heads to Foxborough for a
Foxborough.
Friday night. They'll hold 2 joint practices together. Head coach Matt Rule said those practices could determine a starting quarterback. Mayfield pumps over the middle. He completes. That's Shy Smith. First down and more. Darnold backpedaling. Corner of the end zone. He's got Hollywood Higgins for a touchdown. And while the 2 candidates think our mentality is best suited to just put our heads down and go to work and just trying to improve each day. And, you know, the best man's going to win, but we're also trying to make this team better. And I think that's the biggest part about it is our QB rooms handled it extremely well. And we're going to continue to do that just to show leadership. And it's all about winning, and that QB room is about that too.
The joint practices will be held today and Wednesday. Both quarterbacks will also try to change the script against New England. Mayfield last year hurt his knee in a 38-point loss to the Pats. Darnold, for his career, is 0-4 against New England with 9 interceptions and just 1 touchdown pass. I'm Anish Shroff on the Carolina Panthers Radio Network.
I'm Chelsea Messenger, helping you beat the books with BetQL. When there's a hot trend between two teams, sometimes the best play is to ride that trend until it goes cold. In Toronto, we have a hot trend between the Orioles and the Blue Jays. In the last 8 games between the teams, the over has hit 7 times. And BetQL sees the same tonight. With the total set at 8.5, the BetQL 5-star player today is
Wow, people, I am on the air right now. You know, give me an hour and a half and I'll take care of your stuff.
Hey, here's a question that I have for you guys via my vacation for the stream. When you go, if you're speaking a different language, do you put an emphasis on like having a native accent? Like when I spoke Spanish, like, there was a guy on the vacation with us when he spoke Spanish. He did it in the most like basic American accent. He'd be like, "Yo tango el gato." Is that like offensive? Like, I don't know.
Saturday Night Live did a skit about that, like, I don't know, like 10 years ago or something like that, because they had Bob Costas on it. And everybody was rolling their R's and everything. And so I don't know.
Right. So, like,
I say do it with a Southern accent. Just really throw them off.
Yo tango el gato en los pantalones.
Which I just think is hilarious. KC.
Soto. That one still makes me laugh. Juan Soto.
Soto.
Yeah, like exactly. Like if I'm gonna say señorita, right? Are you like, hey, señorita, or is it like señorita?
It's señorita.
¿Qué pasa, señorita? ¿Qué pasa, señorita? Señorita. Halfway through the show already. How? Talk some Gamecock football this AM to answer the question that started that conversation off last segment. No, you are not beating Clemson this year. They are still very good. You are trending upward, but trending upward is not the same as being there. You are walking up the hill, not on top. Now, do I think you're on your way to making that rivalry competitive again, as it has not been recently? Yup.
All right, so you're saying this definitively, but do you are you willing to walk it back in the scenario that I talked about if they get there with one loss?
If South Carolina gets to a 10-1 going into that Clemson game, I will. I don't know what I'll do. I really don't. They played Georgia. You're not beating Georgia.
Yeah, that was my one. Yeah.
I don't think you're beating A&M. That's all due respect to the Gamecocks. A&M. I don't believe in A&M, for the record. That's not like, oh, A&M's a playoff team.
Hey,
They're not.
The check may bounce, and some people may go, hey, man, I ain't get paid today. I ain't playing. It could happen.
I mean, I guess. All right, let me get to this real quick. If you guys want to, let me get Kevin in here. My bad. Kevin, good to have you back, big fella. Let's talk a little football. What you got?
Oh man, Gamecocks, man. I'm a Tar Heel fan all day, right? But I've been around the Gamecocks, hung out on 5 Points, seeing how great those fans and loyal those fans are to that team, man. But they won one year with 9 games since Steve left, something like that. But it is crazy to me that the Gamecocks can just consistency is the biggest thing with me with them boys. Because let's say they go out against Georgia State and beat them 17-6 or something like that. You got Georgia the next week. Georgia is licking their chops like we about to beat the manhole out them boys. Now, the next third game, they can come out and look like world beaters again. I just don't understand how they go from 1 week to the next week and can never play 2 good weeks of football. I've never seen that in my life. It bothers me, man. I don't get it. They can go out and play Georgia tight, come out the next week and play Charlotte and almost beat them. We got to get some swagging going on. They got my guy that came from TL Hanna that's down there now, the defensive lineman. When you get Clownies and the Debos and all that down there, man, you got to keep getting that stuff. And the thing about it, they went so long running the ball. Then you get these coaches that try to pass this thing. You still got to keep tradition in line. You got to get these running backs. But every time they get a running back, I wouldn't even want to go to South Carolina if I was a running back because you're going to tear your ACL first day. I don't get it.
Kevin, it's the optimism from you that I love the most,
Right.
I get it. First off, and I guess that's what I'm saying, those 5 games that I just mentioned, right? Arkansas, Kentucky, Florida, Mizzou, Tennessee. Those 5 games, the results, the record of those 5 will go a long way in dictating. If every other game goes the way it should, right? You should beat SC Upstate. You should beat Georgia State. And you should lose to A&M. You should lose to Georgia. You should lose to Clemson. Those 5 games I mentioned, the mid-tier games, will determine the success or failure of the season. And part of the reason I say that, Kev, is those 5 games will give us a really good indication about whether or not South Carolina is a consistent team this year or not. Because I agree with you, right? That team that trounced Florida had no business going to Missouri and losing. None at all. That's not a game you lose if you're good enough to have beaten Florida and Auburn last year the way that you beat them. So those 5 games are going to show us whether or not this team has turned a corner production-wise, which I think they have. But can you turn the corner production-wise and consistently? And last year they weren't. They were good in really some big spots. They were bad in some big spots. Question is, even if you're not Clemson level, Georgia level, A&M level yet, the question is, can you be consistently above where Kentucky is, above where Tennessee is, etc.? And if the answer to that is yes, that's a successful season for Shane Beamer's Gamecocks.
Man, you see how hard you made that sound? Well, hey, man, that bothers me, man. Just to see the Gamecocks, because Clemson 200 miles down the road, and these boys got chip after chip after chip and just doing what they're doing. Now, South Carolina went 5-6 years beating them, I think, when Steve was there. Then Clemson's gone, however long they've gone and getting these wins now. But that's a rival game. We got to get one of these games where it's not a blowout. At least fourth quarter, last 2 minutes, something. But they get down there, and then once Clemson just started getting on the road, they lay down and let them have it. Or I ain't going to say let them have it. They just don't play football, man. I don't know what they said they Friday night. They got to change up something.
Look,
do something different on Friday night because something's just not getting it.
Let me say this, Kevin, and I appreciate the phone call, Big Phil. I got to run to a break. We're late again. let me say this. What you just said is accurate, right? Like it's like every year for the past 7, it's been, is Clemson Carolina still a rivalry, right? Like, can it be? I heard Mark say multiple times, can it be a rivalry if one team has run 7 or 8 or 10 in a row? And the answer to me is yeah, because a rivalry is made by the fans, not the teams, right? A rivalry is made by the fans, not the teams.
Yeah, but it's partially made by the teams because you use it as a recruiting tool.
I agree, but again, 2 teams playing football are 2 teams playing football, right? The fans make the rivalry, in my opinion. So yes, it's still a rivalry. Here's the mistake I don't want the Gamecocks to make. The fans are going to make the mistake. What I hope is that Shane and the team don't make the mistake. And the mistake is getting to week 7, getting to week 8. And maybe you have been playing consistently. Maybe you have been playing good football. Maybe you have been playing consistently to the level that you've got all the wins you're supposed to. You beat Georgia State. You beat Charlotte. You beat SC State. Hell, maybe you get a win against Kentucky, maybe against Arkansas, Missouri, Vandy, Florida. You beat all these teams. What I do not need is for the Gamecocks to get to where they're like a 7, 8-win team this year and then decide that they are going to decide if they are a success or failure based on the Clemson game, right? Because that's the rivalry. Oh, man, we went 8-4, but one of those 4 was Clemson. That's a failure. No, it's not. You need to look at this as if every team is just another team, not a rivalry, right? If Clemson, like Kevin's sitting there going, oh, you got to bring it against Clemson. You got to change something up. You got to do this. You got to do that. No. I literally just told you the key for me to label this a successful season for South Carolina is can they be consistent in their production? We saw them produce last year. We saw them produce against Auburn, a game I was at. Saw them produce against Florida, a game I was at. We saw them produce, and they can produce, and they produce primarily at home. Now I need it against Mizzou. Now I need it against Florida on the road. Now I need it against Tennessee at the house. If they are consistent in all of those games, and they are consistent against Clemson, even if they lose by 24, it does not matter. You're not there yet. Do not change anything for any team on the schedule, Clemson included. If you change your approach to any one of these games, which I think happened a couple of times last year. I think last year, there were some spots where South Carolina kind of started to feel themselves a little bit, right? I think they kind of started to feel themselves. And especially after the Florida game. 40-17 at home against the Gators. Smoked them. And then I think they kind of expected, okay, we beat Florida. We're definitely going to beat Mizzou. And what'd you do? Went to their house and got beat. Right? Then you came back and you beat Auburn in your house. And I think you kind of felt yourself a little bit. So what'd you do? You went out there against Clemson thinking, oh, we're going to make this one a game this year. And you got beat 30-0. You cannot do that. It is about consistency. It is about putting the same effort and the same game plan and the same product into play week after week, game after game. That's what I'm looking for this season. That's what will define this as a successful season or not for the Gamecocks. Back after this on the Rob Brown Show. Rob Alonzo and you, this is the Fan Upstate. Did he just say I? Oh, it's Jody Mack.
Whoever that is.
Jody Mack's he's their weekend guy, but he does a lot of fill-in work too. Dak said more highlights. Like, don't you have to have some to have more, guy?
We didn't mean it by him.
Yes, he did. He was talking about how it makes his season better.
Shane Beamer going to shake Mark Stoops' hand at midfield after we beat Kentucky by 3 touchdowns. Beamer just is trending now, by the way. At least for me. May have something to do with, the phone hearing us talking about it, but, Okay, so what if Beamer and Stoops have a soccer handshake?
A Tuchel Conti.
Who you got?
Beamer.
Stoops is definitely more intense, but,
I think Diesel ranked the SEC coaches via who would win in a fight the other day.
Wait a minute. That sounds like,
Brian Harrison at Auburn's the number 1 pick overall.
That sounds like a wrestling thing to do. I mean, just saying. It doesn't sound very man show.
Man show.
Was he doing that with Carter or was he doing that with Mark?
No, I think he did it last week with Mark.
Well, a year or so ago, or a couple years ago, I would have went Orgeron all the way to win.
Edo got that country boy strength.
Yeah.
Edo wrestle alligators for fun.
All right, from everything I've seen, there have been fights every single day with the Panthers and the Patriots. Christian McCaffrey taken to the ground, throws the ball at a Pats player. This is getting ugly. Let's see. Dietrich Wise has been booted.
I think he hit like 6 players.
He's the player who took McCaffrey down.
McCaffrey seems like that crazy white dude that won't take it from nobody.
Good. That was like one of my nicknames in high school.
Crazy white boy?
Yes.
Crazy white boy. The Rob Brown Show rolls on. It is the Fan Upstate. I found this earlier. I wanted to throw out there. This is more for me than anybody else. I found it amusing. The Colorado Rockies. The Colorado Rockies have one of the highest attendance rates in Major League Baseball right now. Which is interesting because the Colorado Rockies are dead last in the NL West. 51-67. They are 30 and a half games back of the Dodgers in that division. They are nowhere near a wild card spot. It's not going great for Colorado. Yet, their attendance is exceptionally high. And why is that? Interesting enough, The Colorado Rockies also have the lowest beer price point in Major League Baseball. If you go to Fenway Park up there in Boston, last year, Alonzo, I went to Fenway Park, and all I wanted was a Fenway Park hot dog and a beer, right? I'm at Fenway Park, man. I'm in the house that Ted Williams played at. Babe pitched and beat the Red Sox here. I mean, legendary. I wanted a beer and I wanted a hot dog. So I went up to the concession stand and I said, yo, I didn't say yo. I said, ma'am.
Say, yo,
Listen.
I
said, yo, can I get 2-foot-long dogs and 4 beers, please? I was getting for me and the lady friend. 2-foot-long dogs and 4 beers, please. Lady's like, yep. That'll be $60 and some cents. I'm like, all right, but I paid it because I'm at Fenway Park, right? Fenway Park, beer cost 79 cents an ounce. San Francisco Giants, 75 cents an ounce. Chicago White Sox, 67. Chicago Cubs, 66. Washington Nationals, 62 cents. You know what it costs per beer in Colorado? 25 cents per ounce. It is literally a third the cost of a beer in Boston. Boston, you're catching I'm bad at math. What's a 20-ounce beer at 79 cents? About $15, almost $16 for a beer in Fenway. It's costing you like 8. Nope, like 7 at Colorado. It is amazing what fan support will do if you just make the experience. You got to do one of two things. You got to make the experience affordable, or you got to make the experience enjoyable. Enjoyable comes from having a good team. Boston fans will pay 79 cents a beer, or 79 cents per ounce per beer, because up until the last couple of months, the team's been good for a last number of years. Giants, same way. You want 100 games? I'll pay 75 cents an ounce of beer. So when people hit me with, Rob, why are things so expensive? Because you pay them, right? Why did I have to pay $80 for parking? Did you pay it? Yeah, that's why. That's why. Rob, why are NFL tickets $100? Because you pay it. Now, some teams have less luck than others. But that's where you either got to put a team or it's got to be a budget-friendly deal, man. I just love that the MLB Fan Cost Index went and found out that the Rockies have the cheapest beer in the league, and that's why they are also top 10 in attendance despite having a terrible baseball team. An absolutely terrible baseball team. All right, coming up at the next hour of the show. Speaking of the Chicago White Sox, I don't know if you've seen this. You know, Lonzo, you and I have talked a lot about qualities that we want out of our coach. Is one of them doing things for the professional team that fans scream at them from the sideline? Because that happened in Major League Baseball a couple of days ago.
All right, doing things. I can't wait to hear what doing things actually are.
Don't worry. I'll tell you after the break. Plus, a segment I've teased a couple of times, but it's happening right now. El Tigre has re-entered his name as a leader in professional golf, and it's got nothing to do with being on the course. And he's been joined by Ricky Fowler, which is an interesting duo. How did it come about? I'm going to tell you that coming up here in just a minute. And plenty more. There's a lot to get to. Third hour is going to be busy. Your phone calls are welcome at 844-FAN-PHONE, 844-326-3663. You can also text the radio broadcast on the Preferred Home Services text line at 71307. Start your text with FAN, F-A-N, and we'll read them on the air back after this on The Rob Brown Show. It's the Fan Upstate. There's a Reddit thread going right now that is, what is the dumbest thing in any given match that a wrestler can fall for in kayfabe? And the answers so far are, if you're the champ, not just getting yourself disqualified from every match you're in, headbutting a Samoan, jumping off the rope in any direction towards Randy Orton, staring at the stage for like 3 minutes during a match when somebody else's music hits and they don't come out, pinning anyone after a non-finisher,
I like the jumping towards Randy Orton.
oh yeah,
That's my favorite one so far. If he ever wrestles again. If he does, he will appear out of the crowd, of course. Soto. By the way, you should mention the thing that we got the email for about.
yeah, yep, good call.
Go for it, Trey, but it's a lot to type out. Yeah, you should do it every time and see if he actually reads that. Yeah, you should continue doing that for sure. Not a reference everyone would get, though, because it's been a while since that show's been on, but still.
See, what Diesel does when he invites people to add a name to the text is starts inviting them to add Bart Simpson prank names onto the end without him catching it. And he will slip. We all slip. The third, the final, the best of money hour. The Rob Brown Show goes now. This is the fan upstate. How do You do, upstate South Carolina. Hello, America. What up, world? Great to be with y'all one more time again right here on the Rob Brown Show with the Fan Upstate. My name is Rob Brown. Across from me, the professor of perfection, the wizard of wave, the alpha and the omega of the Fan Upstate. The great man Lonzo is at the board, and you can and should be a part of the show as well by giving us a buzz at 844-FAN-PHONE, 844-FANFONE, 844-326-3663, or text us on the Preferred Home Services text line at 71307, 71307. Start your text with FAN, F-A-N, FAN, and we'll read them on the air. Tweet me at The Rob Brown Show. Tweet Lonzo at Lonzo on Word. Tweet us all at The Fan Upstate, and we'll read those tweets on the air as well. Want to send a shout out earlier to our friend Tiger Pal Rachel, who just tweeted into the show, "Keep being loud." I don't know how else to do it, to be honest with you.
I don't know. I can give you an example earlier of Rob not being loud and something not working.
Hey, by the way, couple of things to tell you about. First and foremost, this Saturday over at Furman. Pretty geeked about this.
It's not this Saturday.
Next Saturday. Sorry.
It's September 1st.
September 1st. Listen.
Hey, we got a lot of stuff going on.
We got a lot of stuff going on right now.
Football starts in earnest here 2 days from now with Burns. So, and we got a lot of work to do.
Furman Fan Fest, Thursday night, September 1st, 7 p.m. versus North Greenville. Free event. Fan Fest area opens at 3 p.m. outside the stadium. They're going to have live music. There are going to be food trucks. There's going to be yard games. Cornhole, for instance, will be available. If you'd like to come out and challenge Lonzo to a match, he might take you on. I taught him everything he knows about cornhole.
Still haven't played again. I don't feel like I have to, really. I mean,
you brought it. You gave me a hell of a run in the second game.
I showed what an ace I could be, possibly. Yeah.
It's all about consistency now, right?
Absolutely.
There will also be a dunk tank on scene. I don't know who's getting in the dunk tank, but anytime there's a dunk tank, you know I'm in.
I noticed in the promo, Dan Scott didn't mention that he would indeed be in the dunk tank.
You will also catch the first look at your Paladin football team before the season. They'll do position drills and in-game preparation scenarios and an inter-squad scrimmage during Fan Fest. And during play, the north end of the field will have additional stuff for kids, activities, and whatnot. They'll have a concession menu, purchase, beer available. And at the conclusion of the event, the Paladin football team will invite you all down onto the field for autographs and pictures. There's not much that's cooler as a sports fan than getting an opportunity to take a picture on the field, right? Like that, there's just something about that for me. It doesn't matter where I go or what I do. Anytime that I get to do an event, my goal is to end up on the field. Like there's just something about it. So anyway, season kickoff Thursday night, September 1st, 7 p.m. versus North Greenville. Looking forward to that. Gonna be a good time, ladies and gentlemen. Let's also throw this out. Coming up on Friday morning, we had some technical stuff we had to work around, but Friday morning, the first episode of Views from Mint Street is going to drop. Views from Mint Street, the official Carolina Panthers podcast of Odyssey, is going to go up on the podcast. You can download or subscribe to that podcast wherever major podcasts are found. If you are a Carolina Panther fan or a fan of Lonzo, you're going to want to grab that podcast on Spotify, on iTunes, on Stitcher, on Apple Play, on Google Play, wherever you get your major podcast. Go find.
All right, download it on all of those.
Yeah, get them all.
Every single one of them.
Every download helps for us. Go to your podcast provider of choice. Search for Views from Mint Street. Subscribe to that. Turn on your notifications. You'll get notifications when we drop episodes. First one drops on Friday morning with me, Rob Brown, and my co-host, the great one, Lonzo. Lonzo got the call yesterday. He will be joining me on the pod. We will be broadcasting the official Carolina Panther podcast for Odyssey starting this Friday morning. You will get 2 episodes a week for the next 2 weeks. Then when football season begins, we'll be dropping at least 3 episodes a week. We will also go live with emergency pods when that becomes necessary, and you will get those right there on your podcast platform of choice. It is the Views from Mint Street podcast with me, Rob Brown, and Alonzo, hitting you on the podcast provider of choice. Make sure you subscribe and get notified for that. Looking forward to bringing you guys, you Panthers fans, episode number 1 this Friday morning.
Going to be excited. Going to be fun. When we put the first one together, we're going to be talking a lot of fighting.
Yeah, because
lots of fighting, because that's what the joint practices are going on between the Panthers and the Patriots, and they appear to be wanting to throw down like every other play.
Yeah, had 2 or 3 different fights yesterday. Have already had another one today, where apparently Christian McCaffrey has been taking a bit of extra contact during live scrimmage drills. Got taken down hard to the ground earlier and came up and just started throwing the ball at Patriots players. We had, I believe, 7 players kicked out of practice yesterday, and we may have a few more getting kicked out today based on the start of practice earlier this morning. This preseason game between New England and Carolina, though, could have some spice, some heat to it.
I am curious, and we need to find this out, and we will research this, whether the players kicked out of practice are actually going to be playing in the game. If you are the coaches for either team, do you keep those guys out?
No, not a chance. Your need to make sure that every guy you want to see gets reps is more important than whatever paradigm you think fans are going to look at your team. Because hey, it's practice, man. They're gonna get heated, right? I'd be mad if they don't get heated. So no, look, there's it's just regular Nick Cage bust for Aaron Rodgers.
Oh, okay, so it wasn't a Cameron Poe bust. It was an actual.
It's an actual statue.
Oh, that's great.
That's just in his locker.
That's great.
A-Rod's so weird. I love it.
Like you wouldn't put it up there.
I already told you, if we can find one, I'm building a shelf in the studio for it and only. We'll have our trophy for Sports Talk Radio Show of the Year on one side of the shelf and the Nick Cage bust on the other.
The problem with that, the way those shelves are designed in the Green Bay locker and most NFL lockers, is that shelf is way too high and Nick is looking up. You want him looking up at you while you're getting ready to go.
We just got a text that said, fan, this guy is an idiot, end quote. I don't know who you're talking about, so I just assume it's me, and I love it. I do.
No, I'm sure it was me, but that's fine. You can't be an idiot if I'm an idiot.
Amazing. No, we've both been called idiots our fair share. Let me get clip number 1, if you don't mind, Lonzo. This happened a couple of days ago. The manager of the Chicago White Sox is Tony La Russa. Now, things ain't exactly going well.
Tony's like 95 years old, isn't he?
Let's see how.
Dude is pretty old.
Tony La Russa is 77 years old. And Tony La Russa this past weekend, well, I guess late last week, took himself a little bit of heat. Now, there's a reason I'm talking Chicago White Sox baseball, which, by the way, you can listen to me talk all the baseball Saturdays from 1 to 5 on Bet for the Cycle, my nationally syndicated baseball gambling show hosted by me, Rob Brown, and Cody Decker, which airs on the BetQL network and find Odyssey stations everywhere. Plus, if you're one of those dudes that streams, you can watch the show live on Twitch as well. So, Tony La Russa last Thursday or Friday was coaching a very intense game. And when you get into one of those intense late inning games, especially when it's a highlight game at night, the cameras tend to try to pick up the body language of players and coaches in the dugout. Because, you can get a lot into the game, right? If you look in and you see a guy who's got those intense, he's dialed in. We all care. Tony La Russa, ladies and gentlemen, was, not dialed in. Because when they showed Tony La Russa in the dugout of a very close game for a White Sox team that, by the way, is very much in a wild card playoff hunt, although not nearly in the position we all thought they would be. We thought the White Sox were a World Series caliber team. They are now a fighting for a wild card team. When the camera went into the dugout, it showed Tony La Russa. And Tony, and the man's 77, I get it. Tony appeared to be having himself a little siesta in the dugout. A little snooze. Now, Lonzo, I would be lying to you to tell you there haven't been times in my life where I have dozed off a little bit at work. It's happened. I think it's probably happened to most of us, where at least once in your career, you had a long night, you had a long day, there's a lot of stress on you, the boss has loaded you up with stuff to do, it just wears on you, and that 4 o'clock rolls around late in the afternoon, and you find yourself with the head tilted back, and you just gotta rest the eyes for a minute.
Unless you work with someone, hypothetically, who's really loud, then you're probably not going to fall asleep during that portion of your day.
Yeah, but most of us aren't that lucky, you know? Most of us aren't that lucky. So, La Russa, catching some Z's, sawing some logs. Yo quiero el siesta in the dugout. La Russa has already been under a bunch of fire this year because the White Sox have been managed out of about 10 to 12 wins that they should have had this year, but La Russa overmanaged them out. You give me half of those back, they're in the wild card spot, right? Well, La Russa is coaching a game against the Astros. It's a close game. 2-2 at the time, getting towards the end. And there was a moment where Eloy Jimenez, who's a consistent bat for the White Sox, but not the speediest dude in the game, gets on second base, hits a double, gets on second base. Now, that, late in the game, is the go-ahead run in the game if you can get him around. But part of what you need to get him around is his speed, right? So the next batter's at the dish. The next batter is at the dish, and a video has gone viral from just behind the White Sox dugout. And it sounds like this.
Hey, Tony! Hey, Tony, run angle! Get angle in there! Get
What the is happening? Time out. Oh, he's gonna pinch run. He's pitched. And he called it. And he called it. And he's doing it. He's doing it. He's I'm the manager. When he fell asleep. He walks away.
So what happened here was that a White Sox fan behind home plate walked down to the concourse, but right behind the net, with an earshot of Tony La Russa. And he started screaming, "Hey, Tony!" Because that's how people in Chicago talk. "Hey, Tony! Get Engel in there!" Engel being Adam Engel, who is one of the speedier guys on the White Sox roster. He says, "Get Engel in there!" And Tony La Russa comes out of the dugout, looks around, calls timeout on the field, and what does he do? He sends in Adam Engel as a pinch runner. Exactly what the fans screamed at him to do. Same guy, same call. Tony La Russa makes it. La Russa comes out, looks around, calls timeout, sends in Adam Engel right after the fans started yelling, "Hey, Tony, get Engel in there! Pinch run Engel!" And he did it. And he did it. Now, Tony La Russa was told in the press conference, he said, did you make that decision because the fan yelled at you to do it? And La Russa claimed that he did not hear the guy. And when asked, why is it that you were in the dugout, then this guy started yelling, get Engel in there as a pinch runner, then you came out of the dugout, he said that he and his assistant coaches were discussing whether or not to risk taking Jimenez's bat out of the lineup should he come back up in the order in the 9th or 10th inning if it goes there. He said, ask the fan if he thought about the 10th inning and the bases are loaded with 1 out. Ask him if he thought about that. I mean, it was a tough call, end quote. If this is any other manager in Major League Baseball with a successful baseball team, I take him at his word. Yeah. If this is Brian Snicker, Aaron Boone, I take him at his word. If this is Alex Cora, Dusty Baker, I take him at his word. But it's Tony Nap La Russa, who has been undermanaging and overmanaging his team to a consistent string of L's in one of the most disappointing seasons ever for the White Sox, who did this. Lonzo, is there any chance that La Russa heard the fans scream, get Engel in there, and went, that's a pretty good idea. Pretty good idea. And then called the timeout to make the switch? Did Mr. Sleepy Time T in the dugout just get outmanaged by his own fans?
Oh, I definitely think it's a possibility. The question is, was he like half asleep and he heard this guy yelling and thought, that's my idea.
Hey, coach, why did you go with Engel? I don't know, man. It came to me in a dream. I was in the dugout. I was resting my eyes, and in my dream, I heard an angel scream, hey, Tony! Get Engel in there! And I thought, thank you, angel of nap time. What an amazing managerial idea. My goodness, how my own brain and nobody else's works in mysterious ways. It came to me in a dream. I love it. So, of course, La Russa's like, yeah, no. We were already having the discussion, and we were trying to decide, are we good to take Eloy Jimenez's bat out of the lineup, knowing that this game could go extras, and he would come up in the 9th or the 10th? Were we good to take him out of that lineup in order to put a speedier runner on the base in scoring position late in the game? And I decided we were. Look, I don't know if he's telling the truth or not, but in my head canon, in my world, in my life, Tony La Russa 100% got outmanaged by a regular Chicago White Sox fan. And I got news for you. It wouldn't surprise me in the least, right? If La Russa retires at the end of this year, or more appropriately, gets canned in the middle of the year, and then he writes a tell-all last year, and he's like, hey, remember that time? Remember that time when I pinch run Adam Engel for Eloy Jimenez in that game against the Astros that we won? Remember that? Remember how I told you guys that I definitely didn't get the idea from a fan? I did. My shock level would be 0. Not at all. Yesterday, I asked you the question, how cool are you with a coach that is willing to go fisticuffs with another coach? And about 65% of you guys said, I like it when a coach shows that passion, shows that fire, right? I do. I like when my coach is fired up. I like when a coach gets fired up and is willing to scrap for his logo. I like it. I like when a coach is like, yeah, our rivals are classless. They're disgraceful. Because it shows that she's bought into that rivalry, right? When Courtney Bangert, head coach of UNC women's basketball, says NC State fans are classless and I hate going to their tiny little gym, as a Carolina fan, I am here for it. Because I think they're classless and I hate their stupid little gym. And now I know my coach has got that same fire, that same intensity, that same passion to kick that ass. I'm in. I love it. I love it. I want my coach to be heated, fired up, and ready to roll. You know what I don't love? I don't love my coach taking suggestions from fans in game when we're in a playoff hunt because he just didn't think about it himself. When he just didn't get it and is like, oh, fake section 105, row C, seat 5, that's actually a good idea, and calls the timeout to put it into play. Don't like that. Not good. Not good. How have the White Sox fans not mutinied yet? How have they not flipped every seat in that stadium over, demanding that Tony the crowdsourcer not be canned? Unbelievable. Unbelievable. La Russa's like, no, that's not what happened. Yeah, it is, Tony. Yeah, it is. Just own it, dude. Listen, sometimes people are going to give you ideas that are really good that you didn't have. You should always listen. You should always be willing to change your mind. One of the worst things in the world to me is the concept of a flip-flopper being bad. Oh, you're a flip-flopper. Oh, you mean I got new information and evidence to make a more informed and accurate decision? How terrible of me, right? Sometimes people are going to give you information and give you a thought you didn't have, and it's good for you. You know what I don't need? The guy in section 102 yelling the best idea that's obvious that my manager didn't see, and then making that call. Unfreaking real, dude. Unreal. Let's take a break. Let me get this golf thing in. When we come back, we'll talk about that. Robbie Anderson had some comments about Baker Mayfield, and the drama level is down. Tell you what Robbie A had to say about Baker when we come back on the Rob Brown Show. This is the Fan Upstate. We are back stream. Don't go anywhere.
So I haven't checked to see if his contract is up, but if it's not, expect to see Santos Escobar moved up to either Raw or SmackDown because he lost a match last night.
Yeah.
If he left, he was. If he lost, he was out of NXT. He's kind of smallish though, so I don't know where he actually fits.
Oh, 205 Live.
Oh, you don't watch NXT, so you don't. Indy Hartwell got a letter yesterday.
From Dexter.
Yes.
What did it say?
They didn't show it. It just she picked it up and you could see it was.
Yeah.
She opened it up and you could. There was a picture on the back of it. You could see
That's
it.
how
Was,
people send letters in real life. They attach pictures of themselves to the back.
well, no, it wasn't it was a picture drawn on one side and a note on the inside, and then some new wrestler come up and ripped it up. But still, she got all happy about it. So those people who are really wanting the way to show up on Raw or SmackDown, it's still a possibility. I don't know if it would work, but it's good to know that she hasn't forgotten about Dexter.
Well, they're married, so.
This report is sponsored by Pfizer and BioNTech. Charging a cell phone can be like getting a booster shot. A booster is given to enhance or restore protection after a primary series vaccination, which wanes over time. Schedule an appointment when you are eligible. Sponsored by Pfizer and BioNTech.
Hey, more work. Woo!
You know, I sat there making fun of Tony La Russa, and I got a text from somebody very close to me. That's like, Rob, don't people text and tell you what to talk about and you do it all the time? Yes. Yes, they do. But do you recognize that most of the things you guys tell me to talk about, I already have it somewhere prepped and ready? And B, I'm not getting paid like $1 billion to successfully run an organization that all of you pay hundreds of dollars to watch or listen to in this case, right? No, I don't need my manager taking fan suggestions. Let me throw this in there real quick. This is kind of interesting to me. Eldrick Tiger Woods won the Masters not terribly long ago. Has not really been competitive in golf since then. But Eldrick Tiger Woods is the face of golf. Anybody argue that? Like, even when he's not a competitive player anymore, if you say golf, most Americans think Tiger Woods.
Which is kind of sad for golf because
it's terrible for
golf.
golf.
Yeah, they got to find that next guy.
100%. Problem is, it's like, who's the next Tiger? There's not one. There have been a fistful of golfers that jumped from golfer to well-known American athlete and icon. And Tiger is really the only one of the last 20 years, right? You add on to the fact that, traditionally speaking, when it comes to sports that are competitive internationally, soccer, golf, swimming and diving, Olympic sports, right? Olympic sports, golf and soccer. When it comes to those sports, Americans don't ordinarily celebrate international characters the way that other countries do. Cristiano Ronaldo, Leo Messi, you can go anywhere and you will see folks of that country wearing the shirts of Ronaldo, of Messi, of truly international players. Americans don't, as a rule, do that. We celebrate Americans, and that's pretty much it, right? Now, over the past couple of years, I have seen a noticeable uptick in the number of international football uniforms that I've seen worn out and about, right? But rule of thumb, for the most part, we don't celebrate international athletes. So the Rory McIlroys of the world are going to have a tough leg up. And I think Shohei Ohtani is the perfect example of that, right? Ohtani has had to be a historic baseball player, and still there are talking heads that are going, oh, he can't be the face of baseball. He's not the face of baseball. The hell he's not. The guy's doing things nobody has done since Babe Ruth, right? So golf has a real problem in that not only does it need to find yet another dominant golfer to take Tiger's spot, but in America, it needs to be an American golfer for it to work, like Tiger Woods. Well, as the PGA continues its battle against the LIV Tour, and we told you, 2-3 weeks ago, there was a major victory when a handful of guys brought a lawsuit against the PGA, saying that the PGA did not have the right to suspend them from FedEx Tour events because of their participation in the LIV Tour. And a federal judge was like, yeah, they do. Yeah, they do. And they lost that lawsuit before it even really got heard, right? That's a big win for the PGA. But remember, the PGA is up against the LIV Tour, which is effectively an organization that has unlimited money, right? They are a cheat code at this point. Well, the next step for the PGA Tour is a conversation that's taking place between the tour and the golfers and amongst the golfers themselves. Ricky Fowler was given a fat contract offer from the LIV Tour to move over, and he has turned it down. Tiger Woods, we learned, got offered upwards of $700 million to show up and play on the LIV Tour. Turned down around $250 million to play on the LIV Tour. Now the two of them have added a weapon to the arsenal of the PGA Tour they did not have earlier. That weapon? Themselves. El Tigre has flown down and has now been joined by Ricky Fowler in Wilmington, Delaware, which is where this week's BMW Championship is being played, to discuss with other golfers the future of the PGA Tour and how to strengthen the PGA Tour in the face of the assault of the LIV Tour, as they consider it. Tiger, joined by friend of his, Ricky Fowler, who did not qualify for the second leg of the FedEx Cup playoffs, all got together with the top players on the PGA Tour with one intent. According to Mark Schlabach, writing for ESPN, he quoted one player who said, quote, "It was all about the top players getting on the same page. It was a good meeting." Tiger and Ricky led the meeting of the rest of the top-tier PGA players at an off-course hotel. The meeting lasted 3.5 hours. Players that were confirmed to be there: Justin Thomas, Rory McIlroy, Jordan Spieth, and others. El Tigre, despite the fact that he has not been El Tigre in a number of years, is still viewed as the leader of the players on the PGA Tour by the players. And in an individual sport, that's hard to do, right? Every football team has the guys in the locker room that are considered by the team as team leaders. Every basketball team has the guy in the locker room that's the best on the team and is considered by the rest of the team to be the team leader. In an individual sport, there's no team leaders. You are your own leader and nobody else's, except Tiger, who is considered by the players on tour to be the leader. And we do not know if Tiger Woods is now effectively acting manager of the PGA Tour, de facto commish of the tour. We don't know if Jay Monahan is in El Tigre's ear going, "Hey, Tiger, it'd be really good if you told the boys this. Tell the guys this. They'll listen to you." Right? But it is interesting that the PGA Tour is allowing this to happen, right? Jay Monahan, I mean, he couldn't say, "No, you guys can't meet with Tiger," but he could absolutely come out and be like, "Hey, listen, we're glad Tiger's involved, but PGA Tour leadership is still tour leadership, and we need to be on that page too." Jay Monahan and the PGA Tour were like, no, go ahead. Go ahead. Go to an offsite hotel. Go to another location in private, in secret. Lock yourself up in a conference room and hash out what your plan as players is to lead this. In those team sports, when you hear, there was a players only meeting in the locker room this morning. Traditionally, what does that mean? It means you're in a bad spot, right? When you hear that your team had a players only meeting, that means the players are calling each other out. That means the players are having their own discussion. Hey, man, you're not living up to your end of the bargain, and it's impacting me. The PGA Tour just had a players meeting. Does that mean it's bad? In this case, not necessarily, because Tiger's not really a player anymore. I mean, he shows up every now and then at select events. You'll see him probably in a few more majors. But Tiger's not an every week player. But he called a players-only meeting. He's not the commish. He's not leadership. But he is for the players. This is really intriguing to me. Because I thought the majority of the players on the PGA Tour were kind of like, hey, it is what it is, right? Like, we're loyal to the tour, but at the end of the day, it is what it is. In fact, a handful of players have come out in the past and defended the guys that have gone to the LIV Tour and been like, hey, look, they got paid, right? Bubba and DJ got the bag. I can't be mad at them for it. But the fact that they left a tour event to go to a different hotel and lock themselves up with Tiger, there is some drama coming down the pipe right now. I'm excited to see where it plays, how it plays. Texture says, hey, Rob, listen as much as I can when I'm working. I'm from Chicago, now living down here. Trust me, White Sox fans in Chicago are livid over Tony La Russa. He went on to say, great show. In fact, I want to read the end of that text. Where did it go? And I'm only reading it because he mentioned, Lonzo, something called a taco dog. He said, great show. Keep it going. Have you tried a taco dog yet? That's from Ron. Chi-Town Ron. Appreciate the text, buddy. And no, I haven't. Can you text me a description of a taco dog because I'm not above it? Sounds delightful. Sounds delightful.
Apparently there's a taco dog in Spartanburg.
Road trip. I need somebody
Hey,
in the bird.
You're gonna be in Spartanburg some this year.
Yeah.
So I mean you head over there a little bit early. Get you a taco dog.
Might have to happen. Texter says, question for the listeners. If Rob plays in a soccer scrimmage and there's an epic save, is it a save by Rob or by his beer belly? You guys are the best. You guys really make me feel good about my life and choices.
You get hit in the belly, though. If you're not flexing, it might hurt a little bit.
If I get hit in the belly, it might bounce and score on the other end. Let's take a break. End of the show and Twitter Trending Topics is next on The Rob Brown Show. This is the Fan Upstate. I also want to try a taco dog, but would it contain chili? I've never had a chili taco. It's not to say they don't exist.
If you look up taco dog, there are pictures.
Is it just like what you would have on a taco but on a bun?
There's a dog in there for sure. I gotta look up the Spartanburg thing. If it's just a taco place that says hot dogs on it, or which I think that is. I don't see any hot dogs at Taco Dog.
Oh, the name of the restaurant is Taco Dog?
Yeah. It's just one of the first things that pops up. There are pictures of
a taco dog?
Yes. There's a Chihuahua wearing a taco sweater, which is a lot funnier than it should be. Yeah.
Chihuahuas are the mosquitoes of the dog world.
I am looking at a recipe from the Hispanic kitchen called taco dogs. Yield 4, so this makes 4 apparently. It's a hot dog. It's a taco. It's a taco hot dog and the best of both worlds in one delicious. And then it cuts off. Okay. Ingredients: 1 pound of ground chuck, 1 tablespoon of chili ancho powder.
When you make a taco, like if you're at a taco bar making a taco, what's your meat to toppings ratio? Like, is it like a thin layer?
I
of
got
beef
to
followed by
have
lettuce and tomatoes?
got to have more meat, Rob.
So do I. That's why.
Yeah. I think yeah.
The majority of my taco is primarily beef.
Come on. Do I look like a vegetarian? Yeah, I'm okay with the lettuce and the tomato and all that stuff, but that should be a topping, not the
meat.
Yes. Which is the worst part is when you go somewhere for something like that and you get more of that than you do meat.
Yeah. When I make, like, when it's taco night at the house and I make tacos, I make 3 times the meat that I make everything else. Rob, a taco dog is a hot dog built this way: thin layer of taco meat, then taco cheese, then the dog, then another layer of taco meat, and more taco cheese.
Wow.
So that's a chili cheese dog, though, right? Like, if it's just taco beef and cheese, that's a chili cheese dog.
Yeah, but you're throwing some meat in it, some other meat, some real meat, not whatever's in the hot dog.
I mean, ground beef is in chili. The only thing you're missing is,
True.
like, the
There are people who make meatless chili, though. I don't get that, but it's a
bean
thing.
chili.
Yeah. Which is basically bean soup. It's not chili anymore.
Yeah, I wouldn't do that because I have respect for myself. CBS Sports Radio.
I wonder, since we own, I was wondering this earlier, since we own CBS Radio, does that mean anything CBS music related is fine to put on stream?
No, because we would still get copyrighted from YouTube and all that because they don't know that.
Well, that's stupid. Because we, like, own it. Well, James says there has to be a balance so the shell doesn't turn into a soggy mess. Here's the thing: if you're at a taco bar, as Rob was talking about, you don't let your taco sit around. You made it, you hit the table, you eat it. It doesn't have time to get soggy. You're not there for conversation. You're there to eat tacos. By the way, McCall Hardman got taken off the field on a cart.
Well, that's not good at all, is it?
No, it is not. You know, James, I guess the copyright laws are not bad if you're the one who owns the copyright. Yeah. Then it's like, I want my money.
Show me the money. Show me the money. Say it with me, Jerry.
All right, it's time for Twitter Trending Topics, where I tell Rob what is trending on the internet, and he will tell us all why it is trending. The first thing that's trending is Jim Carrey.
I got nothing.
All right, there's video out there. You can find it if you throw Jim Carrey's name up there real quick of him with 50 Cent.
Jim Carrey
Yes.
and 50.
Yeah. The video is popping up all over the place. That's why it's trending, of him just jamming with 50 Cent.
I like it. Jim Carrey's kind of in that weird spot because I'm not like Jim Carrey goes so overboard most of the time that I don't love it. But then there's also Big Daddy, not Big Daddy, that's Adam Sandler, like Liar Liar, that I love. And I don't know that movie would have worked without Jim Carrey. That being said, movies like, what's Me, Myself, and Irene, where Jim Carrey's kind of serious but kind of not. Like, he's got some great stuff. That being said, that's an album I would look forward to.
Well, it's just 50 Cent and his guys rapping, and Jim Carrey's kind of there.
Jim Carrey and 50 Cent, but Jim Carrey is the mask.
He's just kind of jamming. He's got glasses on and everything, and it's just like I didn't get to listen to the sounds, but he looks out of place, but he doesn't, because when I see it, all I think is In Living Color, and
Fire Marshal Bill.
Yeah. How that's what made him, really. He had some minor things before that as far as stand up, but when he did that, that made him a household name.
100%. I don't know, man. The Mask was...
See, I like The Mask.
I love The Mask.
Yeah.
I love The Mask. And by the way, The Mask was the movie that introduced Cameron Diaz into Rob's world. That red dress from Cameron Diaz in The Mask, and then him going full wolf face howling at her. Great stuff, man.
All right, the next thing that's trending is Kenny Omega.
Kenny Omega, the cleaner. The suspicion right now, I asked Lonzo this before the show. The suspicion right now, tonight, tonight, it's Wednesday, right? Yeah, tonight.
It's hard, it is Wednesday.
How's this life work? Tonight on Dynamite, the Young Bucks will reveal who the third in their trio going for the trios belt will be. The suspicion is that Kenny Omega makes his return tonight.
Let's go, Brandon.
If it's not Brandon Cutler, we riot.
Yes.
However, you know what the fantasy book for me is? They bring back Omega. Cutler gets his feelings hurt, and Cutler teams up with Hangman Adam Page to form a trio with Johnny Hungy. Give it to me. What else we got?
Yeah, no, I would love to see. Xbox Game Pass is trending.
I picked up like 2 more games on Game Pass yesterday. Game Pass is worth it, man. Star Wars Squadrons is on there now, which lets you fly, X-Wings and TIE fighters in large aerial battles, which has been great.
It can be disorienting if you actually play it in VR, though.
I want to play it on VR.
I can't see over the dashboard, and I know I'm not short. I can't see over the stinking dashboard, and it ticks me off, so I get blown up from underneath.
I have enjoyed that game over the last 3 days that I've got it. It has replaced my power washing game as my go-to at this point.
Wow, you didn't finish the power washing?
You know, I'll tell you what happened. I power washed an entire subway system, and then the game just quit. And when I went back in, I lost like legitimately 2 hours of power washing. And I'm like, nope, I'm done.
Yeah.
I'm done. And it's not the game's fault. It's not the production team's fault or anything like that. But there was just a bug in the system. I power washed a subway line for 2 hours. Then the game quit, and I lost all of that progress. And I was like, nope, I'm done. Uninstalled it on the spot. On the spot. I'm like, no, I'm not doing that again. I'd have loved to see the end of the story, but I'm done. Kids! That's it for us. Jim Rum takes you into the jungle next. Carter Bryant fills in one more day for Mark Ryan at Offsides at 3. We appreciate you listening, and have a great rest of your day. Go get yourself a chili cheese dog. You deserve it. See you back here tomorrow to do it all over again on The Rob Brown Show and The Fan Upstate. Later, brother. All right, stream, thank you guys.